Hi, welcome to the workshop, How to Prioritize Your Time as a Small Business CEO. I'm Rashida Joyce, and I help small businesses scale to multi six figures in profits. And in today's workshop, we will cover how to shift from day to day operations to high impact strategy, identify and categorize tasks to maximize efficiency and profitability, how to free up your time so you can focus on high value tasks and activities. And of course, as always, you will receive resources and tools to make implementing what you learned even faster and easier. So I felt like it was really important to distinguish the difference between operations and strategy. And as a CEO, you should be focusing on strategy the majority of your time. And the trap that so many CEOs fall into that really hinder their ability to scale and how fast they can scale is they focus too much on operations and not the strategy. So I feel like it's very important to distinguish the two and go from there, because we will be talking about strategy versus operations a lot in this workshop when you are deciding what to focus on. So strategy is developing the systems for sustainable scaling. Operations is setting up the software for the systems. Strategy focuses on the bigger picture. Operations is handling the details. Strategy is planning for future business growth, while operations focuses on the day-to-day of running your business. Now, before we get into the actual meat and potatoes of the workshop, which is the process, I want to set a very clear tone for this workshop, right? Like the mindset you need to be in. Discipline leads to freedom, allowing you to achieve more in less time with less stress. I hear so much from CEOs, I am too busy to do this. I am overwhelmed that I can't add anything else to my plate. And I get it. I know this is true because I've seen it. But one of the reasons, and a big reason you are so overwhelmed, is your lack of discipline. And hear me out. I'm not saying your lack of hard work, your lack of commitment, your lack of hustle. You have all of that. It's the lack of discipline. And what I mean by that is the discipline to say no to things that you should no longer be doing, or things that do not align with your actual goals. The discipline to say yes to things that you should start doing, even if they make you uncomfortable. And the discipline to stay consistent and trust the process and go through the process as you are being uncomfortable, as you are transforming into the new CEO you need to be to get to the next level. The things that you did that got you to this very point in time and stage of your business will not work for you to get to the next level. And you need to have the discipline to start changing the things and becoming the CEO that you need to be to reach your goals and get to the next level. Okay. So I love this quote. So I want you to remember it as we go through the workshop, and you'd be like, okay, this seems like a lot, Rashida. My plate is full. I get it. I get it. It may be a lot, especially at first, but trust the process. Trust me. Take the time, find the time to implement this, and you will start to see that you will actually have more freedom. You will have time to be more strategic, and you will have more time to focus on the goals that you want for your business and for your life. Okay, so that is my PSA, and let's get into it. So this is the process. And this is the process I go through with my clients. And as I said, there is some upfront work involved, and it might feel a bit overwhelming in the beginning. Unfortunately, that's just what it is. But again, the good news is, I promise you, implement this and you will start to see the results. It's like when you first start working out, you have to make time to go to the gym, make time to meal prep, or you find the money to pay for a trainer or a gym, or to pay for somebody to meal prep your food for you. But you have to make the time and you have to find the resources to actually get to the results. So the same here, this is business. We got to do it. But I promise you, as you start implementing this, you will see the benefits, just like at the gym, the weight to come off and you start feeling yourself. You will see this in your business. Okay. This business weight that you're carrying will start to melt away, and you'll start seeing that CEO. So step one is to identify your top activities. So what are you currently doing on a daily, weekly basis the most? And then you want to categorize your activities. Then you're going to search, and then you're going to, so the process is as follows. Identify your top activities. What are you doing the most daily and weekly? Then we're going to categorize those activities, and then we're going to sort them for urgency, and then we're going to prioritize for impact. And I'm going to walk you through each step one by one. So step one, identify your top activities. So there are so many activities that you do as a CEO, and that's part of the reason you need to prioritize and you're feeling overwhelmed. So for this level of high strategy, we're focusing on 3 type of activities. Revenue and profit. So these are activities that focus on increasing your revenue or profit. Client experience, activities that deal with client interactions with your business. And operations, activity that run the day-to-day operations. These are the 3 core types of activities and systems that your business needs. And so this is what we're focusing on. And here are a list of some examples of the tasks that fall under each of these categories. So for revenue and profit, it could be launching a new offer, your lead generation, having sales calls, collecting on invoices, posting on social media, or recording podcasts. If all of that is used to actually generate revenue for your business, it should be in this bucket. Client experience and retention. This is setting up new client accounts, asking for reviews, creating resources for your clients, onboarding. Again, anything that deals with the client once you have them and actually keeping the client. Right. And the third one is operations and efficiency. And these are really things like setting up your systems, answering your emails, making sure that everything is flowing, writing standard operating procedures, and things of that nature. Okay, so I have a tool that I have created called the CEO Schedule Framework, and that is going to help you implement this process to make it easier and faster. Now, I do want to say these steps are very simple and straightforward, and don't let the fact that this is simple deter you from doing it or think it won't work, because we like to overcomplicate things. I'm giving you the blueprint, the steps, and the tools. So let's go over and I will show you how to do this step in the framework. Okay, this is the CEO Schedule Framework. So this will help you decide how to prioritize your time. Okay, so before we get into step one, let's go over this page high level. Okay, this is a formula, which I will get into more, but I do not recommend changing it. I do have protections on there that will give you a warning if you try to change it. However, you are the CEO. If you want to change it, you can change it. I just don't recommend it because if you change it, it will break the other formulas. So I don't recommend it. The same thing with the categories here. You can edit it. You can change it. There's no warning on these because it's dropped down. So you need to be able to select what you want. But if you change it, it will break the formulas. So just make sure you know what you're doing if you decide to change it. Okay. So also here, I have 25 items. Now, step one is to list your current tasks and activities. So these are your daily and weekly and even the monthly things that you are doing currently, consistently. If you have more than 25 things that you're doing on a daily, weekly, and even, those monthly things that you have to do, really, you need to delegate some things. Like that should be like your top priority. There's too much on your plate because if you have that many things, you really are overwhelmed and you do not have time for the strategic growth of your business. The workshop of how to grow it at every stage of your business does have more about delegation and automation. And I will likely create separate workshops for that. But if it's more than 25, I definitely recommend getting stuff off your plate ASAP. And this will help that. So if it is more than 25, you can add more lines by selecting here and hover over and pull down. And so then you can add as many as you need. Okay. So step one is all about documenting your current tasks and activities. And as I stated, it's simple. The documentation is simple, but you really want to take time to make sure you're capturing everything and writing down what you do. So you want to go through and add those items to this list. Okay, so I went in and typed some things here. So this is step one. We just add what you are doing currently in your business. This is a living document, so it will change, it will update. All right, let's get back to the presentation. Okay, so now on to step two, which is categorize your activities. So you have listed all of your tasks or your activities. So now we're going to categorize them as strategic or operational. So I broke down the definitions of operational versus strategic. But another way to look at this is the cost of things. How much would you pay somebody per hour? And this is an example that I want you to use when you're thinking about it. So we have $20 per hour activities and $250 per hour activities. From a CEO level, these are operational activities, okay? And then we have strategic activities, which are $1,000 per hour. Now, I'm not getting in the nitty gritty of pricing and what your hourly rate is or anything like that, because that's a whole nother workshop that I may do. But for the sake of this, I want you to think, if I was hiring somebody, how much would I pay them? And I purposely made these per hour categories bigger because that's how I want you to think. If it was like $20 versus $50 per hour, that would be hard to distinguish. But $20 versus $250 per hour, that's a bit easier to distinguish, and especially versus $1,000 per hour, okay? So this is what I want you to think about when you're categorizing them. This will give us an example that we can look at of some actual activities that you may be doing and how to categorize them. So $20 per hour is, posting on social media, fixing your website, collecting invoices. You could hire admin or somebody that's entry level to do these things. $250 per hour is writing marketing emails, implementing systems, improving offers. This takes more strategy and more knowledge. So this is where you're having those high value hires or outsourcing this to people to do these things. And then $1,000 per hour, which is strategic, which is where we want to focus, is planning a big marketing campaign, creating systems for client success, hiring key leadership roles. As a small business owner, it is very easy to get busy and caught up in these $20 and $250 per hour tasks. This is where you're comfortable. And honestly, you may still need to do some of these $250 per hour tasks for now, depending on where you are in scaling. And I understand that, right? This is not overnight, everything's going to change. We're being strategic. So strategic is actually understanding your timeline and where your business is now. At this stage, the $20 per hour tasks need to be removed. I'm just going to be honest. If you're doing any of these, it's time to remove them. This goes back to discipline, because often these tasks will take a lot of time to do without much reward for actually scaling your business. So I want you to really be honest and focus on categorizing these and creating an actual plan to move them so you can actually have the time you need to sustainably scale your business. So 80% of your time should be spent on your top high impact strategies, 80%. And as we go through this more, I will break down how to identify some of the high impact strategies. Now, as I said before, based on where you are in your business, you may still need to do some of those $250 an hour strategies. That's perfectly okay. But you want to really have a long-term plan to move those strategies to more operational, so you can really start solely focusing on very high-level strategic strategies. Okay, so let's hop back over to the CEO schedule framework and go through how you can use it to actually categorize your activities. we're back to the framework. And step 2 is categorizing as strategic or operational tasks and activities. So for that, we have this drop down. In the workshop, I did the chart that had $20 per hour, $250 per hour, and $1,000 per hour categories to help you categorize. So I put that here to make it more simple. And you want to go through and you want to actually categorize. So post on LinkedIn, we saw that's $20. Create newsletter. Now, I left this vague on purpose because a lot of times when I go through this with my clients, they write out things like this. And I wanted to point this out. You want to get as much detail as possible because a lot of times CEOs are overwhelmed because they're lumping create a newsletter as one big task. But it can be broken down as strategic or operational tasks. And you need to make sure that when you're doing the newsletter, you're only focusing on the strategic task or mostly focusing on the strategic task based on where you are in your business. So let's say this is create a newsletter based on ChatGPT prompts. That could be a $20 an hour operational task. Or it could be $250. Maybe the person has to actually create the ChatGPT prompts based off of, what you give them, their marketing plan. So it takes a bit more strategy. It could be maybe $250. But actually creating and writing the newsletter is not an actual strategic task. Creating a newsletter marketing plan, that is a strategic task because this is high level. How does it work to attract the clients? How does this flow into our sales funnel? How much do we expect to see conversions on this? Or is this a newsletter to help keep my current customer more informed and make them feel like the process is better and increase customer satisfaction? Okay. So either way, that is strategy. That is the high up part of the newsletter. And the actual creating and writing the newsletter is the operations. And so that's why I want to demonstrate breaking out that difference, because a lot of overwhelm and really spending time doing day to day is because a lot of CEOs just put that together and it's not. So to be a CEO, you need to separate those things because both are necessary to run your business. As a CEO, we just want you focusing on the high level strategic stuff to actually scale your business. So have sales calls. So this will vary based on where you are in your business. If you're at the point where you have a sales person, then you're not doing it and it's operational. But a lot of CEOs still do their sales call themselves. But this is still an operational task. It's not high level, right? Creating the sales system or the script or, qualifications to get people on sales calls, that's more strategy. Having the actual sales calls is operational. So therefore, it might be that 250 operation, which I said, depending on where you are in your business, you could still be doing operational things, and that's totally okay. And there's some CEOs who just like having sales calls, like they love it. So therefore, they're going to keep a part of that. They like being in the mix, and that's okay. You get to decide how your business goes. Remember, I said you want 80% of your time on those high strategic items. So you still have that other 20% of your time. And speaking of percentage, over here, I do have a formula that updates automatically. So I don't recommend changing it. But as you go and you categorize these, it will update these percentages. And again, we want to get this number here to 80%. I want to make it as simple as possible for you. Okay. I love doing stuff like this so that you can come in, select some drop downs, see the number changing and know where you are. So updating CRM is operational, working on a new offer is strategic, and creating a social media content plan is strategic. So you go in for step 2 and you fill in all of these items. And as you see, this will update as you go through it. Okay, so we're at the halfway mark. And so now things have been divided up according to, operations and strategy. And you have a very clear picture of that. So now these are some action steps I want you to take. I want you to delegate or automate all of your $20 per hour tasks in the next 30 days. They need to be gone. You need to not be doing them. I want you to delegate your 250-hour task in the next 90 days. That is the goal. Now, I always say you have to trust your business intuition. And when I work with clients, we really work on creating realistic but stretch goals. Okay. Going back to working out, you can not say you never ran ever and say, you know what? In 10 days, I'm going to run a half marathon without stopping. It's just not going to happen, no matter how disciplined you are. So it's important to create a timeline that stretches you and forces you to move outside of your comfort zone while also being realistic. So if you look at this and say 90 days, that's not realistic. Okay. What is realistic, but what also stretches you? And for $1,000 per hour tasks, we're going to continue to step 3 because these are our strategic tasks. Based on the action step, I want to show you this tab, which is operations. So if you click here, anything here that you put as operations 20 or 250 will show up here. So this is protected. Again, it's a formula. I do not recommend changing it, but it will automatically show up here. You do not have to retype it. So based on the action steps, I want you to create a delegation plan. How are you going to delegate? Are you going to give it to a team member? Are you going to outsource? Maybe if you can't delegate it, can you automate it? You have to get creative. You are a CEO. You are a problem solver. So just because it doesn't come to you automatically and it's a little more difficult or challenging to do, doesn't mean that you get to not do it. You still have to figure out how to do it. That's literally your job as a CEO, and that's how you're going to be successful. So here, write a short plan. We don't have to go into a lot of detail, just something on paper to start holding you accountable, and click here and select your due date from the drop down. Remember the quote from the beginning, stay disciplined. Okay, back to the slides. So step 3 is we're going to sort by urgency. Step 3 and 4, we're only focusing on this strategic task. Okay. This is where you are prioritizing your time. So urgency is like, how quick do you want to do it? Short term, mid-term, or long term? How long is the goal? When do you want to accomplish this? So these are some guidelines to help you. Now, again, adjust according to your business. These are general guidelines that I'm given in, a workshop that's going to apply to many people. Every business is different. And when I work with clients, we really get into the nuances of their business to really define what should be your short-term goal, your midterm goals, and your long-term goals. But for the sake of having a benchmark and somewhere to start, this is what I would aim for, okay? And the thing that you want to do versus being a struggling CEO and a scaling CEO is this. You want to focus more on your time, on your medium term and long term goals, because this is scaling. This is the big picture. These are strategic. Struggling CEOs focus a lot on short term goals, and the medium and long term goals are in there, but so much of the effort is short term. Scaling CEOs focus more on medium-term and long-term goals. So that is what you want to do. Okay, so let's go over to the CEO schedule framework and see this in action. Okay, so now we are on step 3, and step 3 and 4 only focuses on your strategic tasks and activities. So let's go to that tab. And just like the other one, this is automatically populated, so you don't have to do anything here. So what you want to do for step 3 is set the timeline. So you go here from the drop down and you select short term, mid term, or long term. It is very straightforward as far as the action. What is required is you being very realistic, but also stretching yourself about the timeline of the goal. You want to go through and do that for all of your strategic tasks. And step 4, prioritize for impact. So we have done some good things up in here, okay? We have divided our tasks or activities into strategic and operational. So therefore, we know that we are focusing on strategic at least 80% of the time. We have a plan to delegate or automate the operational things that we are still doing. So we have more time to focus on strategic, and we actually have more freedom in our business and in our personal life. And we have took our strategic goals and lumped them into long-term, short-term, and mid-term goals. So this is the last step in prioritizing. So what you want to do for each task, you want to decide if it improves your revenue and your profit, if it improves your client experience and retention, and if it improves your operations and efficiency. Let's go over this. So strategies and activities that improve your revenue and profit, focus on things that increase sales, optimize pricing, reduce costs, and improve profitability to create a more financially sustainable and scalable business. Things that improve client experience and retention, enhance the way your clients interact with your business by improving your onboarding, your communication, your service delivery, your support, all to boost satisfaction and long-term retention. And the importance of long-term retention is that it increases your customer lifetime value. So this increases how much money a customer spends with you over the entire time they're your customer. This directly impacts scaling on a revenue and a profit level. The longer a client stays with you, the more money they spend with you, the more you are going to scale at an easier rate. Okay. It really increases your profitability, not just your revenue, because acquiring new clients costs money. It can get very, very expensive. So clients that have been with you a while and they're still spending money, they are usually way more profitable than new clients that just come in the door because the cost it took you to acquire that client. Clients that stay with you a while, you've already recovered the cost of acquiring them. That's a one-time cost. And now everything they spend is going to the profit bucket. So it's always funny to me how I see so many people focus on lead generation, which is important, but you need to give just as much attention to actually retaining your clients and increasing the lifetime value. What is the point of spending all that time, money, and effort to get a new client if you don't actually keep them long enough to get the real benefit of having that client? So that is why client retention and client experience is so important. And when we talk about improving operation efficiencies, we are talking about activities and tasks and strategies that streamline workflows, improve team productivity, eliminate bottlenecks, maximize time, reduces stress, just helps your business run more smoothly. Again, this is the day-to-day things. And as a CEO, some of your high-value strategies absolutely are on improving operations. Implementing the improvements, that is the actually operational activities that we're delegating. So here is a list of some examples of tasks and activities that can fall under the different categories. So I won't go through all of them right now, but feel free to take a screenshot or pause the video. And this is just to give you an idea so you can get your mind thinking of different things that go into these buckets. Okay, so now everything has been put in their rightful category. So this is how you prioritize the things. So the first thing I want you to focus on is if it's operational, which I know may seem weird because I am telling you like operationals don't grow your business. But this is why I want you to focus on this first. We want to eliminate as much operational activities and tasks as possible off of your to-do list. So the reason I put this first is because it may have been this slip through the cracks. Like when you first started out, you might not have been that trusting of the process, or you might have been like, I just got to keep this. I just have to. And now we're looking at it. Now you understand the process more, or maybe you've been implementing this more and you're like, okay, I really need to get rid of this. And also as you scale and as you grow as a CEO, things that used to be more strategic now may be more operational because now you have even a bigger picture to look at, right? So we want to start here first and determine if it should be delegated or outsourced. Like, really, does this need to go? Okay. Because if it does need to go, you just move it off your plate and you move on. So now that's not even on your list no more. And that's the whole point of this. If you decide, okay, this is truly strategy and I need to focus on this, or I simply am in that middle ground where the $250 an hour activities I still need to do, then I want you to do this first, because if your business isn't running efficiently, no amount of revenue or growth will be sustainable. This is why you have businesses who are multi 6-figure, 7-figure businesses that have no profit, that are struggling, that the owners are not even paying themselves, that they're worried about how they're going to make payroll, or they're avoiding vendor calls. Like, I promise you, I've seen it, because the operations are not effective, and no amount of money is going to fix that. And honestly, when your operations are not effective, it impacts your client experience and your client retention, because the business back end is just a mess. There's no way to hide that once you actually onboard a new client. So you want to make sure that you improve these major operational efficiencies, especially the short-term ones, as quickly as possible. So this will actually streamline your workflows, remove bottlenecks. You would delegate, you would outsource, and this will free up time to focus on high-level impact activities. Simply put, you cannot scale something that is broken. So if your operations are broken, you can't scale it. So we got to fix it. The second priority will be to improve your revenue and profits. So once operations are off your plate, everything is running smoothly, you want to focus more on increasing your revenue and your profitability. Y'all know I'm a profits girl. And this is because cash is the thing that sustains your business. And remember, profits is how much of your revenue you get to keep. So how much cash is actually in your business. So you want to make sure those things are consistent, they're flowing correctly, and they're flowing in, and profitability is high. So this is things like lead generation, pricing strategies, sales process improvements, anything that is directly impacting your growth and your financial stability. Financial stability is the key to sustaining scaling. So financial stability is the key to having sustainable scaling and business growth. And the third thing you want to focus on is improving your client experience and retention. Now, this is essential. Everything on this list is essential, but we can't do everything at once. So while this is essential, this should come after revenue, because a well-run business with strong revenue can better serve and retain their clients at scale, rather than trying to improve client experience while you're overwhelmed with business efficiencies and inconsistent cash flow. There's no point in having an amazing client experience if you don't have any clients. So that's why you want to do revenue and profit before clients. And then there's no point in having revenue if it's just going to run out and you don't have any profits and you're struggling with cash flow. So that's why you do operations before. So see, there is a method to this. And that goes back to the discipline to trust the process. Okay, step 4 is prioritize for impact. So in step 3, you put in your type of goals right here. And in step 4, you go in and you decide what is the improvement type, because the improvement type decides the priority. So I have went in and already done that. You simply select it from the drop down. And these were explained in the workshop, the different types of improvement. So that is done. What I really want to focus on is how you use this to actually decide what you want to work on. Because the whole purpose of this process is to help you prioritize your time so you know what to focus on. Let's say you only have an hour to do something and 2 things are conflicting. How can you use this in order to help you decide the best thing to focus on? It's about strategy. So these tools, the things I create, helps you create the strategy. Because a lot of people talk about strategy, but not actually how to make sure you have a good one or right one, and to feel confident in your strategy. So let's go over this. So if we look at this really quick, these are our strategic tasks listed here. This is our timeline. So let's say something comes up and you're like, okay, what should I focus on today? So you can come in here and immediately look at your short-term goals, because you still are spending some time on your short-term goals. And you have create Q2 social media content plan, strategize how to improve onboarding process. You have 2 short-term goals. Now you have the profit and revenue. One improvement type is profit and revenue. One improvement type is client experience and retention. So based on the matrix and the improvement type, you should work on your create Q2 social media content plan first. Now, I set this example up on purpose because I always say you are the CEO of your business. You have to trust your intuition. I am creating workshops based on helping many, many clients and seeing patterns and things, but they're always the nuances of your unique business. That is why I love working one-on-one with clients, because I like to get into the nuances of your business. So if you are a day where you have 1 million client fires, or you look at the data and you see we are losing clients like there's nobody business, this is overridden. You have to use your CEO intuition to be like, this is a priority. The priority is fixing whatever the reason the clients are leaving, because that is still directly impacting your profit and your revenue. So this is not 100% no matter what you follow this. This is giving you the base, the guideline, a framework. And it's really used as a bridge as you're really transitioning from where you are as a CEO today to what you need to be to get to the next level of CEO. The more you do it, this will become more second nature, and you will use it less and less, because it's important to understand the high level strategy, the process, more than tools and resources and trends and things like that. That will always change, but the base level knowledge and understanding and mindset, that is timeless, that is evergreen. So another example really quick is you have the task plan, new offer and set pricing, create newsletter marketing plan. So both of these are profit and revenue. So they both are number 2 priority, but one is midterm and one is long-term. So based on this goal, you would start with your create newsletter marketing plan. This is used to help set your schedule for the day, for the week, to help outline your project plans, to help you with time blocking if you use that. So this is a tool to help you create the schedule of your business as your CEO, so you know where to prioritize your time. Okay, so that is the end of this workshop. You can actually scan this QR code right here. It will take you to the CEO schedule framework. Plus, you will learn how I can help you scale if you want my help. So you can scan the QR code or go to thecurveangle.com/YT. And also, if you want the full workshop on how to scale your business at any stage of growth, you can select that right there as well. All right, that is it for this workshop. I'll see you next time. Bye.